I'm Casper Van Dien. You're watching RPadTV.
Oh, it is a crazy day, but I'm hanging out with Casper Van Dien and Carlos, so now it is better.
Where
What's
is
up,
he?
guys? He had to go home already.
Oh,
Yes, with his hot daughter. No, he'll kick my ass. Continue along that line.
we'll edit that in post.
Yeah, we're live. No post here. Guys are watching RPad TV. I am Raymond. This is my excellent guest, Carlos, from Revisiting the Mania. And today we're going to talk about The Penguin, the HBO series that is a spin-off of Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. It incorporates a lot of elements of comic books that Carlos and I love, like The Long Halloween and Dark Victory by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. A lot of elements of No Man's Land. I don't know, Carlos, you're a big comic book guy too. What else do you think influenced the Penguin series?
Oh man, I think there were some aspects of the New 52 run with Scott Snyder that was in there because we had Mr. Bloom in there, and I think you had a little bit also of some of them, like the animated series.
Yeah.
As well, because I remember like the news reporter that gets choked out.
That's right. Yeah.
That she's in that Summer Gleason, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so I remember that one. So it took from pretty much all of like the media that we've seen Batman in, even like with the new like the 66 series, because we also had the shout out to Burgess Meredith when they had him in Burgess Jewelry is on top of the apartment.
I did not catch that. That is outstanding. Yeah. But I love that it borrowed things from all these fantastic sources, but very much made it its own thing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Let's kick things off per usual with a thread-sized review of The Penguin. Carlos, I'll let you kick this off.
Oh, I have to read this? Okay. While Gotham on Fox did it first, The Penguin on HBO did it way better. Colin Farrell is awesome as Oswald and shows why his characters deserve the spinoff that shows how big the Penguin can be. This show is not only carried by his performance, but the supporting cast, mainly Cristin Milioti, shines just as bright. If you are a fan of mafia-style dramas, this show will keep you hooked and will not disappoint.
Very well said. Although I would argue that Cristin Milioti is the lead as well, and not a supporting cast member. I went a bit shorter, actually a lot shorter. I said, The Penguin is one of the 3 best shows/movies Warner's has released in the post-Nolan era. The writing and acting were stellar.
Ooh, okay. So you said one of the 3.
Yeah.
So what are your other 2? Okay.
Peacemaker, and then this is in no order, and I'm sure the order would change.
No, I don't mind that. Yeah.
I would put Peacemaker up there, and the Gun Suicide Squad. He's the?
Okay. No, yeah, it's the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so both of Gunn's things, Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad, and the Penguin. I'd put Shazam up there too, but a lot of people don't like it. Yeah, the first one, not that piece of crap second one. Although not as bad as I was expecting, to be honest. But yeah, I could see that dropping out of the top 3. I mean, what did you think of the Reeves Batman movie? Were you a fan?
It's hard because I've been watching Batman since whenever we were showing the 66 series, like been reruns after school on like WGN or whatever. So it's like seeing how much it's progressed. And then we did get a dark Batman with, when Tim Burton did the 89 and then was it 92 for Batman Returns?
Right.
So
and then Schumacher added nipples.
and bright lights. And
Yes.
but I love it because it's not only the story of Batman, and it kind of took like a little bit of what Nolan tried to do, where they try to make Gotham its own little character.
Yeah. Yeah. I am a fan of the Matt Reeves movie. A bunch of my friends didn't like it as much. They felt it was too dark, literally. Like they said they couldn't see what was going on. And
It's
yeah, I kind of get that, but stylistically, that's what he wanted to do because Gotham
yeah,
is a dark and dangerous place. The night is dark and full of terrors, as that
yeah.
red-haired lady used to say. Um, but as for the Penguin himself, he didn't have a lot to do in that movie. He was still like a mid-boss kind of dude, still kind of in the lackey era. And that movie had so much going on with Batman and the Riddler and Catwoman that he didn't get to shine as much. So going into the series, my expectations were low, to be honest. I didn't think this would be very good, just because the Penguin didn't really impress me in the movie. But I ended up blown away. What was your thoughts going into the series?
I was excited because of whatever how it worked out with James Gunn. Like James Gunn
Mm,
did the Suicide Squad, and then we got Peacemaker, and then Reeves has just like a whole like catalog of movies that I enjoy. Not a lot of people
yeah,
enjoy like those Donald, like those Planet of the Apes movies, like, but he did a very good trilogy there,
I
and
agree.
then also with the 10 Cloverfield Lane movie as well. So and then you have that the is it the Chloe Grace Moretz that's in Let Me In, or is it a different one that they did?
Mm,
Where's the
yeah,
child vampire one? But yeah,
it,
so
it is Chloe Grace Moretz. Very
yeah.
good call.
Yeah, so it's been like I've been following his work, and I haven't been that much like disappointed in anything that he's done. So I was kind of excited when he's like, I have this thing I think I might be able to do with the Penguin, and I'm like, okay, and like the Penguin is like one of my favorite Batman like rogue, because it's like he's been in like anything,
Yeah,
like the 66 series where he was played by, like you said, Mickey from
yes,
Rocky. I
Rocky.
mean, like
Yeah.
I first seen Burgess when he was Mickey first, and I'm like, hey, what's Rocky's trainer doing over here wearing a a top hat and
And the
the
cigarette
cigar?
holder. Whack, 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 whack. That's so.
So
And
and
then
then
DeVito, of course,
yeah, and Danny
amazing.
DeVito did a great job in that '92 from whatever kooky thing that Tim Burton like decided to pull him out of, because we've never seen I don't think I've it's been addressing the comics that much, where it's always a disfigurement that's always causing the Penguin to be how he is. So he kind of
Right,
went towards that whole thing where he was all disfigured, and that's why he was shunned from his family.
right.
So it's always been something, and it's always been where the Penguin's always evolving, and but he's always been the same.
Oh,
Like,
and in that movie, we learned that his dad is Pee Wee Herman.
yeah,
So that was
yeah.
also very
So
good to know. So yeah,
I know.
we've gotten a lot of great penguins over the years, but I mean, just given the material that he's gotten to work with, I think this is the best we've seen.
Mhm.
We'll talk about this more at the end, but people are already comparing Colin Farrell's performance as the Penguin to Heath Ledger's as the Joker. I don't really like that
No,
comparison.
I don't like
I'll,
it
I'll
either.
tell you, we'll talk about that more later, but I do think it's, up there as one of the best villains in any comic book show or movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Let's talk in broader terms. As we said, we both really love this series. But Carlos, what were your favorite aspects of the Penguin? There's a lot to love. What stood out for you?
Well, I think I have like touched on it before, but I like the whole thing that this, and people might hate it and things like this, but that there was no Batman in it.
Right.
That's like, everyone always thought like, well, we're gonna get Batman. They gotta show us Batman. How can you have it be Batman? And as someone who actually watched Gotham, throughout the whole thing where there was no Batman, I was kind of like, that show was good, but it kind of like started teetering off after. I think it just didn't have enough stories to pull it all the way through,
Hmm.
however seasons Fox tried to make it go through. But that they stuck to it and that they kept, you know, just Penguin, street
Right.
level Penguin, him dealing with his problems. And, like I mentioned to you, there's so many uh, Batman's always considered to have the best rogue gallery. And we always see Joker, Joker, Joker. And it was good to finally get someone that's kind of even keel. And it's always going to be a thorn in Batman's side as much as Penguin is going to, as much as the Joker is going to be Penguin.
Right. We have our first comment here from Johan. What's up, man? I haven't gotten around to watch it yet, but it's on my list. It definitely should be. This is probably the best series objectively, and also one of my favorites of this year. As for my favorite aspects, I love what you alluded to earlier, how Matt Reeves was building up Gotham as its own character. I think he's done a better job with Gotham as a setting more than any other director. I love the different neighborhoods he set up, the rich part of Gotham that was not affected at all by the Riddler blowing up the seawall. And then you have the slums, the Crown Point, where a lot of the series takes place. And he does it with little touches. Like you could see the water lines from where the flood happens and what it left to the building. But really the writing and direction were fantastic. They gave two really skilled actors a lot of great material to work with, and both of them blew me away. Like, honestly, I like Colin Farrell, I like Cristin Milioti, but I did not know they had this gear in them. Like, I didn't know they could be, either of them could be this good. I mean, that's how impressive they were. I think both of these actors just crushed it. And then even the supporting cast, like, there are layers of really great performances in this show. It's not just the leads, like the supporting characters and even a few of the minor characters did really well with what they were given. And it just added up to make a stellar series.
Yeah.
We have a question from Johan. Why don't you take this one? Do other villains show up too?
Well, depends on how we define villains.
Also depends how you define show up.
Yeah. But I mean, we do get one, but like in the first episode, we get Alberto Falcone talking with the Penguin before, and we know if we've read the comic books, he becomes the Holiday Killer. Yes. And one of the things I was going to get to that I forgot to when you mentioned the aspects is I love that we had all these like Gotham and Batman Easter eggs like Alberto, where you think it's going to go a certain way and that they're going to follow ABC. He's the Holiday Killer. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And guess what? He's gone. Like, he's gone like 5 minutes
he's
later.
Not the Holiday Killer. Yeah.
So I'm like that they weren't like, they accepted some things that have been established in comics and in other mediums for this universe, but they also weren't afraid to diverge from certain histories, the majority of time. But as for do other villains show up, they're alluded to more than they show up, I think, right?
Yes, that is fair. Very fair to say. Yeah, I mean, continuing with our favorite aspects, like even smaller characters like Dr. Rush here, who is played by the excellent Theo Rossi.
Shades.
Shades. What is he in the series for? Like maybe 20 minutes total? Not even?
No. I think his major episode that he's the most in is episode 4 and into 5 a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like, and then he just sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah. And I think this guy is super talented. Didn't have a lot to do, but in the scenes he did have, I thought he did excellent and really contributed to the overall series.
And it's interesting to see, like he mentioned, like Johan's mentioned, is there any other villains that show up? Rush is he's not his complete villain form yet, but he's there. So it's one of those sprinklings. And if you know the history of Gotham and Arkham and things
Yes,
like that, you'll know that Rush, along with other people that are in Arkham, are pretty much like they're there. So if Reeves wants to pick them and choose which one is getting like, oh, they should do a spinoff on him or things like that and build up this world a little bit more, then he could really pick and choose and make this work for a long time, I think.
absolutely. And we also don't know who he might be exactly, because Reeves has changed names a few times. You know, he is Oswald Cobb, not
Yeah.
Cobblepot. What was Edward Nygma's name changed to in the movie? It wasn't Nygma, it was Edward something. Snowden. No.
No. What is it?
But even like in Dark Victory, where
Yeah.
Sophia Gigante and Catwoman are adversaries, it looks like they will be allies in Matt Reeves' world. So I like that he's doing these things.
Yeah,
'Cause-
and it's one of those things too where it's like she accepts the Gigante part, and
Mhm.
it's more of a normally we got it's her nickname because in the comics she's like and close to, is it 8 foot tall woman?
Yeah, yeah. And Cristin
So,
Milioti, I think she's like 5'3" or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that they went with that route where it's like her mother's maiden name.
That's right.
But once they brought that up, I was like, okay, so now we're gonna get the whole thing where it's the reason that Carmine killed her mom is because there's that one storyline in the comic books where Carmine ends up finding out that she is a Maroni in real life, not
Right.
and that she's just been there as a spy. So, but we didn't get that, and I guess if you're gonna be bringing that's her maiden name is Gigante from her mom's side, then you should have maybe tied that in a little bit better. But this show's just so good, and I let it slide. But if I wanted to nitpick, I'll nitpick on that.
Fair enough. And no relation to the wrestler El Gigante. He was just garbage. So let's talk about the performances of the two leads, who both amazing, but both very different performances. I mean, why don't you kick things off with what you thought of Colin Farrell's Penguin?
What everyone's been saying, it's like, he's there, or that like it took like 4 or 5 hours for him to get into that makeup,
Right?
But the way he just like he knows that, hey, I'm no longer Colin, and then he's able to hide his accent so good, because he has a very strong Irish accent when you hear him to talk regularly. But to like, now you're more familiar with this probably type of accent from like growing up in New York, but does this seem more of like an East Coast accent, like something you would hear? Because we don't hear it that much in Chicago. But like the way they would talk, like
I've heard all kinds of Irish accents, including one. So in my late teens, early 20s, I spent a lot of time in Irish pubs, as Carlos knows this. You guys watching and listening probably don't. And I'm very familiar with the Irish accent, and there is very different. I mean, I think he tries to affect a Dubliner accent because people in entertainment usually go towards that. But there was one time they had this substitute bartender who, because one of the regulars was on vacation, and he would just come up and be like, Roger, and I'd ask the other Irish bartenders, like, what is that guy saying? He's like, we can't understand him either. So apparently there's accents that they don't understand themselves. But yes, that is our first tangent of the day. I love the tangents. But yeah, one of the things I loved about this and Colin Farrell's performance is there were so many layers to this character. And this is one of the shows people equate it to The Sopranos, where there's no real good guy in this show. There's just varying degrees of vile people. But he managed to make this character complex and disgusting. But then there are times where you sympathize for him, but then you're like, you feel dirty for having sympathy for him, which if you can do that with a character, I think that is an amazing thing where you feel guilty for caring about a character who is obviously an evil piece of crap. And yeah, to bring that out, especially in the movie where he was just, kind of a lackey and didn't have much depth or many layers. This one, just what a complex and fucked up dude. Just really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe his Penguin compared to the two that you mentioned before, the Burgess Meredith and the Danny DeVito Penguin?
Well, I think you would say that this is like in my thread side review, we compare this to like other mafia type of media. So this is kind of like the rise of the Penguin into whatever he becomes. I'm assuming in Batman 66, he's already like a mastermind, criminal mastermind. He's running everything underground. And in Batman Returns, we kind of get like a truncated version where he's, he is a criminal, but he's trying to like make himself, a legitimate person.
Right.
And he ends up trying to run for mayor and things like that. So
they did that in 66 and the comics as well. Yeah. So this is obviously his fate to be Mayor Cobb.
The mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor. He's gonna be mayor. But yeah, this is kind of like, if I was compared to something that someone would have watching lots of mafia movies, it would have been like Godfather 2, where we see like the rise of Vito Corleone, we see the rise of the Penguin.
Yeah. In addition to the rise, I love how he gets there, because he's not a tough guy. He'll get violent, but he's crippled in the show. He has a mangled right foot.
Yeah, he adapted.
He adapted through manipulation and charm. Sophia says a line to him saying along the lines of, you're so good at telling people what they want to hear. And that's really the Penguin's superpower in this. He's good at manipulating people and deluding people, but then he deludes himself most of all, ultimately. As we'll see at the end. I do want to talk about Sophia, played by the wonderful Cristin Milioti. I was absolutely floored by her performance. And I hate comparing these things as if they're like Olympic sprinters, but recently we watched Agatha All Along with another female lead that was outstanding in Catherine Hahn. But Cristin Milioti's performance, I think, is even more outstanding for me anyway. I mean, it's art, so it's whatever you're looking for, but it's awesome that she had this great role and absolutely crushed this character, who also, like the Penguin, is very layered and complex and fucked up. And you feel bad. It's almost, they're two sides of the same coin here, where they're both vile and manipulative, but there are times where you feel sorry for them. But for Sophia, I don't feel as guilty about it, because she did have something truly fucked up happen to her. So it doesn't excuse all the evil things she did in the show. But it's like Chris Rock said, I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying I understand.
Yeah, good call.
What did you think of Cristin Milioti as Sophia Gigante?
I think I'm trying to hold back, but I've been a fan of her since I seen her in How I Met Your Mother. I always feel like she got robbed, and that's probably not anything she could have controlled, because I think CBS wasn't going to have them go out for the 10th season. So they're like, we're going to have to cut it here at 9. But she did a great job coming in and being the mother, and it kind of made you feel bad. I don't know if you ever watched that show, Raymond. I know you're more of a Friends guy, but the way that show ends and the way her character arc goes, it's very disappointing. And it not only turned me off to the ending, it turned like a whole bunch of people off on how that show and that series particularly ended, because she did such a great job in it. So, and then after that, we had her in The Wolf of Wall Street, or it might be the other way around. But then she did a good job there.
Yeah.
But haven't been disappointed in anything she's been on. She was in that
Palm
movie
Springs.
Palm Springs with Andy Samberg, where it's like Groundhog Day and Russian Doll combined kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know, because we don't have like a lot of in real life portrayals of Sophia Falcone.
That's right.
We had one in Gotham. I can't remember her name, but she ended up going to be Abby Arcane in Swamp Thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she did an okay, decent job there. But Sophia has always been like a character when I've read those comics that I kind of like secretly, just because I know when they wrote it, it was pretty much to like either like an homage or like some like kind of parody of the Godfather characters.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's fun that they chose like Sophia, and then they like, hey, no one likes Sofia Coppola's performance that much. I don't think it's that bad, but Francis could have got someone else to do it. But like to like exaggerate her character and make her close to 7 feet tall,
right?
Ever look?
Yeah, who would you even cast for that? Yeah, there's not a lot of 8-foot actresses walking around Hollywood.
So this is why I know that I don't mind that they ended up flipping it where they made Carmine the Hangman and they try to pin it on her, because that makes more sense. Unless you're gonna bring El Gigante and put a wing on him and have him.
Please, is that guy still alive?
Yes, he's still alive.
Wow.
But she did a great job of, just portraying that character that we've never seen that much, and having all those layers where, she had this thing growing up where, she kind of was sheltered, protected,
right,
well off compared to everyone in Gotham. And then all of a sudden her world is turned upside down when she gets pinned for all of these murders, even the murder of that Summer Gleason news reporter who was trying to give her like the breadcrumbs, like, hey, I know who the Hangman Killer is.
Yes.
Please meet me. And then she's like, oh, I'm dead. So, and then she has to spend that time in Arkham, and it just completely fucks her. But
as well it should.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years in an insane asylum for something you didn't do, or many murders you did not commit, that'll take a toll on you.
Yeah, so she did a great job, having, when she finally gets out, she still doesn't feel safe. She's like, when Rush is trying to tell her that she's home, and he's like, yeah, that's why I'm not safe, because I'm home.
I do want to talk about Rush a bit later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's 2 layers down. Let's talk about the next layer of characters who are the supporting guys. Renzi Feliz, Navidad, who plays Victor Aguilar, a street urchin the Penguin comes across in episode 1, and kind of at first it's like he's his slave, but then he becomes his apprentice kind of dude and
right hand man,
and then eventually they become close enough to where they consider each other family. And
like
then
Vin Diesel.
No, they have a very different definition of family here. So, yeah, I kept thinking about how Vin Diesel views family compared to how Oz Cobb views family, and it's very different, as we'll find out later. And we have Deirdre O'Connell, who plays Frances Cobb, the Penguin's mother. Both of these characters were also outstanding, smaller roles, of course. Renzi Feliz, who we know from The Runaways. He was in that series on, what was the Freeform? Was that called?
Freeform, but it was also on Hulu.
Ah, that's right. So I'm a massive fan of the Runaways comics. I like the series okay, not as much as the comics. And he didn't make much of an impression on me in that series, but here, fantastic. I think he's a very talented young actor to keep an eye on. I expect great things from him in the future. And Deirdre O'Connell, oh man, she crushed that role. Like she she kept the twists coming and brought them out. And just when the twists happened and the way she played them just made it that much more impactful. What did you think of these guys?
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't know that Renzi was. I had forgotten. Like we watched The Runaways.
Yeah,
we would talk about The
we would talk about
Runaways.
it. Yeah,
And I had completely forgot about that show. What is it, like 6 years old now? I think.
is it? It feels longer just because
Yeah.
in comic time, but yeah, there's actually a few people, him included, that were both in Marvel and DC properties. Colin Farrell, of course, played Bullseye in the Daredevil movie.
That terrible one, but yes.
Thea Rossi was in the Luke Cage series as
Yeah.
Comanche. Was that his character? Or was he the other one? I forget. He was one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of things when you don't take notes. But yeah, I see him. He played Alex Wilder. Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, I had to look it up. 2017, and it ran. I think was the last one. So it was close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even think about that because that show was a great disappointment at the end. But he did a great job.
Yeah.
I think like being able to play someone with a speech impediment. I don't know if that's natural for him. I haven't heard like any interviews or anything like that. But
no, because in the flashback he did not have it. It's the speech impediment. At least the way I remember it is a direct result from the Riddler blowing up his goddamn neighborhood. Like he wasn't stuttering.
And him seeing it because we got that introduction in that, was it episode 3 when they're on the roof?
Yeah.
And then he's trying to call his family, like, "Hey, get out of the house."
Yeah.
Wow. Like, these guys were like, I'm getting like excited to see this. I'm gonna do another run through of this Penguin, but it's like just talking about it.
Oh, for sure.
Getting all these beats and everything out, and it's still like wanting me to go see it again. But yeah, he did a great job playing vulnerable, but still, kind of like trying to make his own way.
And watching him level up throughout the series, that was very cool. He becomes more confident and smarter to the street game.
Yeah, and then we get that turn on, I think in episode 7, where he has to take out that one guy.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "I don't want your money. I don't want your payoff. I want to make my own money."
Yeah.
And he knows he has to do it, and that's why he carries that gun, and he has to make his first kill, and he actually does it. So
but he also is he the only character that shows guilt and remorse after doing something wrong? Is he? I guess this is the purest character in the series, huh?
Yeah, I mean he is, because that's how he really didn't want to steal those rims.
Right, he was Squid was
Squid was bullying them because no one else is making money over there at the Crown Point or the zoo, the apartments that they were living in, and things like that. So Squid was helping them kind of scrounge money, and they figured that they needed to make some money, and he got talked into it. And was it Caleb, or what was that guy's name?
Caleb, yes.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that because of our friend Caleb. Yeah. I'm like, why is he in this movie? He just had a kid. Like,
why are you out here stealing rims?
Yeah.
But and just to see, and then we get like he's kind of accepting the criminal lifestyle, and he pulls one of his moves when he's talking with his dad before the tragedy that happens with the bridge or the dam burst, where he's telling his dad to push for more money.
Right.
And when the Riddler, when Penguin's like, "I'm gonna pay you $1,000 a week," and he's like, "No, 2,000."
Right.
So
yeah,
just seeing this progression, and unfortunately, what we get in the end, like would I have wanted to continue to see his character in either the movie or Batman 2, or if they decide to do further spinoffs with the Penguin, like one more season. Or like just have him appear and pop up if they decide to do something else with other characters. It would have been great, but like just to see how they started, where he was pretty much forced to be his lackey and be his driver.
But he ends up being the big hero. Penguin wouldn't have gotten out alive if it wasn't for his plan.
And that's the reason he unfortunately met his demise. because he's shown, just like with all the other ones,
Right.
that he can rally everyone, and he's going to be a future threat to his criminal empire.
And
Did you see that
That is
coming?
part of it. Yeah, I thought that was the only way it could end.
Yeah.
We will talk about that later too. Let's not forget Frances, Deidre O'Connell. She plays a single mother who is taking care of 3 kids, but then she loses 2 of them, and we learn why later. But did you know that she knew? Because I did not see that coming.
I kind of suspected it, but I couldn't really piece it together into because she has dementia.
Right.
And it's like one of those things where it's like you kind of might have imagined that she's just like seeing something that she saw in the past, but you see her like the way she's treating Oswald, like she sees him at one point and she knows it's Oswald, and she's like over there just wailing on him and not wanting to listen to him.
Yeah,
and
there were hints that I didn't pick up on, like when she's in the tub in like episode 2, where it's almost like she's trying to drown herself in the tub. I didn't realize that had significance in what happened to them.
Yeah, when she thinks her kids are drowning, the other boys too, and that one was so it's like I had it, but I just couldn't. It's like one of those narratives where you have the unreliable narrator, and I couldn't be like, is this part of her dementia, or is it like actually something that she's reliving because of the dementia?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, she crushed it. And also, like so many of the characters in the show was complex and layered, because as you said, she has dementia. She's an old, unhealthy lady, where you think she cares about her son, but then you later find out she was just banking on him as a promise, and she was manipulating him as well.
Oh yeah.
So that, and even in this screenshot, I didn't pay attention to the yellow flashlight. I should have, because that was very telling. That comes I
think in this scene is a little bit earlier in the season.
Right, but they're foreshadowing the significance of that flashlight. I did not pick that up at all. And that's another reason to rewatch, because there are a few things that, they did tell us. I just didn't get it.
Yeah, sometimes you need to lie to yourself to make something work. But yeah, she did a great job, especially once Rush gets a hold of her and does that red flashing thing at the end, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, that whole sequence, I'm like, this is getting fucked up, but I'm also just totally intrigued by everything.
Yeah, and it still made me question if that was actually true or not, because like I don't know how that would work with someone with dementia. Yeah,
but I love that scene.
But it's a great, what is it, episode 7 when they do that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's Rush doing the red light hypnotherapy treatment. Sophia just taunting both Oz and his mom and just breaking them down, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
It was just absolute torture. She really was on the verge of a perfect victory until the rug got pulled out from under her. I do want to talk about the next layer of characters, but first I want to take a little break because it is the holiday season and people are shopping for gifts, or maybe you just want to buy something nice for yourself. If so, then consider picking up some RPadTV gimmicks on Amazon.com. We got shirts, t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, phone cases, a lot more. Just search RPadTV on Amazon.com, or if you want direct links for the US store, go to RPad.TV/merch. And now back to us. So let's talk about that final layer of characters, the small ones, like Dr. Rush. Eve is also another small but very important character, and also a great character. Salvatore Moroni, played by the fantastic. Clancy Brown, the Kurgan from Highlander, Lex Luthor from Superman, the animated series.
Yeah.
What was his character in Star Wars Rebels?
I forget.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy who was the leader of
the Resistance on Lothal.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, since we got something earlier, I looked it up. Edward Nashton was the Riddler's name.
Aha.
In the Batman.
In the Reeves Batman, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Rush could go. It's like some people have different expectations for where that character can go. Salvatore Maroni. I mean, Clancy Brown is that voice can carry so many performances. It's just such a badass voice.
Yeah,
and a large, intimidating man.
Someone's gonna have to get a hold of that man's voice and do they had Darth Vader. I forget his name now.
James Earl.
Yeah, how Disney went to go ahead and got James Earl's voice for a little bit, so they could still use it for Vader once in a while.
Oh, why is Clancy Brown unhealthy or something?
No, I'm just saying before it gets to that point, you gotta preserve that man's voice.
I agree. Yes, maybe for that Highlander reboot that Henry Cavill is working on.
Is he working on that one?
Oh yeah, he's all about it.
Really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't he? He's Scottish too, right?
Yeah,
I believe so. So yeah, that's even more so.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, but there can be only one.
Yeah. So we had him, Maroni, and what a way to go out! Like I couldn't believe it. He gets his hands on Oswald, and he's about to beat him because Oswald has got the best of him.
Yeah.
He took out his wife, he took out his son, and he's about to pound on him. And guess what, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you. He has the big heart attack on him. I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Okay, wait, hats off to you for a second. I think that's the first Sanford and Son reference we've had on this show. So that is awesome. Let's do more of that.
I have to watch it. I haven't watched it in a long while, but
one of my favorite opening theme songs ever.
Yeah, I didn't know that Quincy had worked on that.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, my wife had told me. I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And rest in peace, Quincy.
Yes. So Salvatore Maroni here, who is one of the heads of the two big crime families in Gotham, the other being the Falcones. He is jailed for a good chunk of this series, gets out, but ultimately gets completely played by Penguin until the end, where he's on the verge of victory until a heart attack. So I think that was, I don't know. That's just funny.
It was. I was like, I couldn't. Maria, my wife was like, "What are you doing? Why are you laughing?" Like, cause it's like,
dude had a heart attack.
It's so perfect, and he's gonna get his revenge. And guess what? He's gonna he can't get it because he's gonna die of a heart attack.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
And okay. Here's one. Omega Swiper. Swiper or Wiper?
Omega's Wiper. Maybe.
I know, but I'm like, if it's Omega Swiper, like from Dora the Explorer.
Oh yeah, Swiper, no swipe, no swipeys.
Vic is gonna be Robin.
I don't know about
it's Swiper. Well, keep watching. And definitely I will ask you to turn off on our second to last section, because we will address Vic a little more in the future. I will give you a warning though, so I appreciate you bringing that up, and I appreciate the comment and the cool name Omega Swiper. And now I'm thinking about Dora the Explorer and 22 Jump Street.
Oh yeah.
Diego and Dora and Swipe. Whoa, dude. I
was watching that the other day.
22. I like
21.
I like both of those movies. Those are two of my favorite crap movies in the last decade. They're not good, but they make me laugh.
They do. I got to the point where we were getting tired, and my wife and I were watching it, and I was like, I just got to make it to the point where he's talking to Korean Jesus.
That was going to bring up Korean. That's another one of our jokes that we've been doing that for like 20 years now.
Yeah, it was like Korean
dear,
Jesus
dear
don't have
Korean
time for your
Jesus.
problems.
Ha! Batman 1 had binoculars watching someone.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, it did. Um,
But let's get so we had more characters, minor characters.
yeah, I wanted to talk
What
about
does stands
Eve.
out? Yeah,
Oh
go
no,
ahead. No,
okay,
no, you started with Eve. I was like,
yeah,
so what? You let me know what you think first before I get into this one.
yeah. Eve is like the head prostitute of the girls in Gotham. But she's she's like a motherly figure for them,
Mhm.
takes care of all the other girls, and she's also Oswald is one of her clients, and they have a very transactional relationship where she will do what Oswald wants, tell him what Oz wants to hear, dress up how he wants, and it's interesting because they both look out for each other.
Mhm.
She does him a big favor mid-series where she serves as his alibi, and he takes care of her. But it's a transaction relationship where, but they still kind of care about each other, but they're both kind of scared of each other. It's very strange. Although she had a very big pivotal moments towards the end of the series, and plays a big part in why Penguin almost got nabbed at the end, and for good reason. What did you think of her performance, Carlos, and the character?
Well, this is one of these, like, I don't know how familiar we are with like the comic books, but the her last name is very familiar to anyone who has been
Yes,
paying attention. So uh it's Carlo, right?
yes,
So that's Clayface's last name,
Basil
hers
Carlo.
Basil Carlo. And I started thinking, I go, well, we never get anything like any type of like family trees when it comes to like Gotham that much, unless they're like revealed to be like in a storyline.
Yeah.
But what if this is actually Basil this whole time and not Eve?
Ah,
Because
or
it's Clayface.
it could be a switcheroo thing that Reeves does because he's
Yeah,
changing names. Nothing says he can't change
yeah,
gender.
that he can't. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I started thinking. That what if this is gonna be the Clayface that we get?
That would
Whether
be
it's
awesome.
yeah, and how they're able to like go with the flow when it comes to things, because I find it pretty convenient that the Penguin knows, like at the end, that Eve pretty much ratted him out to Sophia
Right,
when they come and get when Sophia comes to get his mom
right.
and takes her with him. So he has to know. He didn't tell that many people that he's going to be hiding out in Crown Point, except for Eve when to go get her, and she's like, "No, I'm not going anywhere. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm not going to go live in the slums for a little bit and hide out."
yeah. I
So
mean,
go ahead.
I love this character, very strong. I love your theory that maybe she can be this universe's Clayface.
Hmm.
It fits into her personality of just adapting
Hmm.
to many different situations, both in how she looks, how she acts. She's a lady of the night, so she has different outfits and wigs and all kinds of things. My problem, and this is a personal thing for me,
Oh.
is that the Clayface character is changed for me after the outstanding Harley
No.
Quinn series.
Oh my god, I
That
knew
that
you
I
were
can
gonna
only
say that.
think of Clayface in a comedic way, where
Mhm.
it is I, Clayface. So like, I love that character so much that I'm like,
I
oh yeah,
know.
he's a serious character too.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's the same thing with me and Bane, where I love how they done that with Harley Quinn, and I can just
right,
quote Bane all day with it's
right.
me, Bane.
It's Banyo.
Yes.
But see that will is I love that character too, but still when I was a kid, just the image
Mhm.
of this giant luchador dude breaking Batman's back will always be the top Bane memory for me. So even though that is a character I love as well, the hilarious Harley Quinn version, it doesn't take over the way that Clayface did.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's just it. Yeah,
No, I
she
hear
is.
you. Yeah. And that's probably why I think I would accept this interpretation, because now we'd be able to separate Basil from, because that's the version that we have at Harley Quinn right
Right.
now, to a real serious one that we're gonna get in the Reeves universe.
That would be cool. Mega
Yeah.
Swiper is here saying Vic knows everything about Penguin Batman. Needs him to roll over with Harvey, the DA, and Harvey is Two-Face to not help with Penguin. So then Freeze arrives to save Penguin's mom. A lot going on in this sentence and a lot of cool ideas, but there's a reason that some of those cannot happen. Let's go to our last minor character. We have Dr. Rush, who we talked about a few times, played by the excellent Theo Rossi. I love the dynamic this character had with Sophia, where they have this kind of fucked up power play where they take turns on who is the dominant one, and he enjoys both. He enjoys when he has the power over Sophia, but he looked really happy when Sophia was dominating him, and it just made me very uncomfortable with this guy. I'm like, what kind of fucked up deviant shit is this guy into? What did you think of Dr. Rush here?
It reminded me of the whole Harley Quinn and Joker like interactions that we're all accustomed to, where Harley becomes infatuated and obsessed with the Joker,
Right.
and Julian pretty much has like that whole thing where he becomes obsessed and infatuated with Sophia, and where they even become intimate and they have some type of S&M type of thing going on too.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where I kind of interested in where this goes, especially with that whole like red light type of psychotherapy that he has going on. Because now it makes me think, have you mentioned, we're getting a lot of name changes. Is this our Hugo Strange?
Right. So that was actually what I wanted to ask you. Like, people are divided on this. Some people think he will end up being Hugo Strange in the Reeves Batverse. Others think he will reverse engineer that drug that they were pushing and use it to make a fear toxin and be this universe's scarecrow. What do you think? Or can you not even guess at this time?
It's really hard because it doesn't seem like he has any type of chemical. We didn't see anything because with that whole like what they call it, Sublime or Bliss.
Blitz.
Yeah,
Yes.
that whole Bliss production thing, it was from Bloom.
Yes.
That chemist. So it wasn't like Julian was doing any type of chemistry to help, especially after like the whole shipment or whatever the production that the Penguin ends up getting himself.
Right.
It's not like Sophia doesn't know how to reproduce it. She knows where to get the mushrooms. It's not like Bloom didn't tell her where to get it or what type of mushrooms to look for. So
Right.
if he had any type of botany or chemical or anything like that in his background, then I could see him becoming like a scarecrow.
But
He has,
he would have access to those red drugs they were taking at Arkham, which is derived from that mushroom, if I'm not mistaken.
oh yeah, he would, but like to make it into a fear toxin, then who
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah, he would
Bloom
need
to
help
do it?
for. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
So
he has not shown that kind of proficiency. So
yeah, so that's why I could rule that out. But being a Hugo Strange, I could see that.
that makes
So
more sense given
yeah,
what he does so far in this
yeah,
series.
and then he's able to get into people's memories and have them
Mhm.
relive things, and you never know what he could end up doing with that red light
Yes,
psychotherapy thing. So
yes. It reminds me of the red light therapy that all the kids are doing. I don't know if kids are doing that. Carlos, and I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite scene in the Penguin series? There's so many good ones, but
there
did
are
any
so many
stand
good
out?
ones. Uh, I guess the whole when Sophia takes out everybody in the Falcone home.
Pretty long monologue there.
Yeah, but it was very reminiscent like of The Godfather. Like
Very much so.
anytime Michael had to move on to the next step, whether he was leaving New York or he was getting out of Cuba and Vegas, It always he had to settle all of his debts, and that's pretty much what Sophia did. She didn't have, and that's what kind of made me believe that Sophia was actually gonna be like partners with the Penguin. That's what it
Hmm.
looked like it was gonna be. Where eventually they'd be like, you know what, let's just cut it here. You're good. You take this side, we'll take that side. We'll be okay. All right. But everyone always wants more, and
Yes.
that's why we end up getting what we're getting with the Penguin, I guess, on top of organized crime, along with the other minor ones in the area. But yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. The whole sequence in the club at Monroe's, just
Oh,
because of the whole, the Penguin's mom getting red light. She's reliving the whole thing. She knows her kids, her sons, were
but
left in the
it's
sewer.
the yeah, I love the way they filmed some of these scenes too, because it's the older version of her playing her younger
Yeah,
self in Monroe's, and they did the reverse earlier with the Penguins memories. Yeah, that was really
and then
masterfully
the
done.
creepy part, like when she's trying to snap out of it, and you see like Sophia and Rush just like sitting on a thing, and she's just like gonna snap out of it, and she's like, "What are you two doing here? Get out of
Yeah,
here!"
yeah,
And then they tell her, "No, no, no, keep going. Don't worry about it. Just ignore us." And then she's still going into Penguin. She's talking about how she was gonna get him killed, and by Rex. And I
yep.
always thought Rex was
The
the
father.
Penguin's
I thought he was
dad.
the
Yeah.
yeah, same.
And I thought that's why he wasn't going to kill him. But it turns out the mom just ended up taking a chance on some 10 or 11-year-old kids, telling them that I'm going to make you the best. I'm going to buy you a penthouse in the
Right.
sky.
Right.
So
And that scene for Oz is just he finds out that his mother knew how vile he was. His mother hated
yeah.
him his whole life.
And he
The
never
guy,
accepted it. He's
right.
like, "What are you talking about? No, I didn't kill anybody." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Just tell us the truth and we'll let everyone go."
And even how he viewed Rex
Yeah.
Rex is pretty much his hero. And he finds out that Rex was gonna off him like he was
And
nothing.
Rex doesn't even like talk to him. Like
Right.
when they went to go drop off, I'm assuming those are books. Like she's bookkeeping for
Yeah.
Rex.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, "Hey Rex," and Rex doesn't even acknowledge him. He just gives the
Yep.
$50 to his brother, and that's it. And he always had like this high regard for Rex, and Rex is like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. So it's the third one. He doesn't count. Um, I agree with the Sophia monologue. That is also that's episode 4, right?
Yeah,
Where she's talking to the rest of the remaining Falcone crime family right before she plans to kill kill all
yeah.
of them.
Because they're
Then
all
she just
telling her, "Go to Italy. You should really
yeah,
go to Italy." And then Vidi, where is it, Vidi? Yeah,
yeah,
Vidi tells her
Judy.
he's like, "In the morning, I have this plane ticket. It's a one-way ticket to Rome. I suggest you're on it. You got 72 hours."
And it's very much not a superhero movie thing or superhero show thing. Like you said, it's very Godfather, it's very Scorsese. Just a really powerful scene that is feels very foreign for the comic book world. So I love that. There's also a smaller scene with Sophia that I thought was awesome, where she visits Gia at the orphanage
Oh yeah,
and she realizes that, how she had her 10 years in Arkham being basically fucked up by an institution. She realizes she's dooming Gia to being, having a fucked up life at this messed up orphanage,
right.
and it crushes her, but she still has to go through with it. But
Yeah, she still telling her like, "But you're gonna not tell anybody what I did, right?"
yeah, and I guess that is the one other instance of a bad guy showing sympathy in this show,
Hmm.
because Gia's just a little girl. She didn't do anything, but
Yeah, because she did have like that whole thing where it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna kill everybody, but let me go ahead and take my cousin out of the picture so she doesn't die." But hey,
right.
guess what? I'm not gonna take care of her. I'm like her only next of kin, but I'm not gonna take care of her. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
let her go to the orphanage.
pretty rough. Was there anything that fell short in this series for you?
I think the only thing I could say that fell short was that little thing where I told you if I had a nitpick,
Yeah,
where they left that whole Gigante thing
yeah,
be more of a being Sophia's mother's maiden name, but not actually adding that she was a Maroni
right.
type of thing. Where like if you acknowledge that, then you might as well do something else. I guess also, um, we do get it at the end, but not getting like the Catwoman Selena
Mhm.
involved a little bit earlier, where we just get like that random letter at the end where
Yes,
she's like, "Hey, I'm your half sister. Let's go
yes.
ahead and meet up sometime."
And
So,
for people that don't remember, in the Batman, um, they reveal that she is a Falcone, so she is related to Sophia in this series, as she is a Falcone in the comics as well.
mhm.
Um, for me, I could have used more Theo Rossi, only because I think he's a fantastic actor and he had a great character. I understand there's a lot of things to juggle, but come on, guys, you had almost 8 hours of TV. Give this man more to do. Uh, this one for me, this next question: did this series change your opinion on the Reeves Batman verse? And for me, this is an astounding yes, because I liked the Batman movie, but it wasn't. I plan to see Batman 2 when it comes out, but I wasn't, super excited for it. But now I am, because this is fleshed out Reeves's Gotham. It's made the Penguin exponentially more interesting. It introduced Cristin Milioti to this world, and she absolutely crushed this role. I think this is an outstanding performance. So I can't wait to see more now because of this series. How about for you?
If it really, I think I'm more forgiving when it comes to like things like this more than you are.
Okay.
It just got me a little bit more. Uh, I guess the word is to say like more open to the interpretations that Reeves is going to be putting for us.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer like, because I think that's some of the issues that we have as like Batman fans is like we hold on to like these comic books or like the animated things, and like
Yeah.
these are the ways we want things to go.
I'm getting less and less like that with time. I used to be such a staunch comic book nerd that I despised changes or
Right.
additions even, but then Harley Quinn changed that because she originated in the animated series, not the comics. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, this is a good character, and you can do cool things with that.
Mhm.
Even Mask of the Phantasm, which is an original movie in Batman the Animated Series, that introduced new and original things that have since been introduced into the comics, like Harley Quinn. So I became, as I saw examples of it being good, of changes being good, additions being good, I've become more accepting of
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm like. But there's not a lot of people are like that because it's like they didn't like the casting of Robert Pattinson. There's anything that I've learned since like The Dark Knight, it's
Yeah,
like you never know how things are gonna go now. We got
yeah,
that brilliant performance not only by Heath Ledger but also by whoa, I'm escaping Christian Bale. Whoever thought that American Psycho would actually be a great Batman,
and that guy's just super talented.
right? So it's like you see, you have to give some of these actors a chance. There's a reason why they're out there and getting paid money to do it. But
Yeah.
it's one of the things that I'm excited about. It's just like seeing what other interpretation Matt Reeves can put out there. Because there's so many now, we could probably get a lot of things, and I know you have another thing to go into, like things that we enjoyed and we hope to see. So I'm gonna cut this short, but
Yeah.
there's lots of things that I'm excited to possibly see in the Batman 2 or even in this Matt Reeves verse of the Batman.
Let's go on a little tangent that we chatted about earlier. People have been comparing Colin Farrell's Penguin to Heath Ledger's Joker, and I get why they're saying that, because they're both great performances that make people pay attention to a character in a different way. But it's I don't like comparing these things because it's movies and series are different. I mean, Colin Farrell had a lot more material to work with, more lines. He is the lead of the show. It's literally the Penguin, whereas Heath Ledger is one of two leads in Batman, and he was in a 2.5 hour movie. So it's really kind of an apples and oranges thing. I don't want to say one is better than the other. I'm happy to say they were both excellent, and for me, that's enough. How do you feel about that comparison?
Performance-wise, yes, I feel that Colin Farrell deserves any accolades and awards that he's able to get. I know there's probably I can't think of like a lot of TV series that this would be related, like this would be up against, that would probably garner more attention than what
Right.
Colin's getting. But yeah, I mean, they both were brilliant performances. One went a little bit more darker than the other, unfortunately. But we wouldn't have the performances that we have to compare it to, and to each other here. We wouldn't have like whatever we feel is a standard version of a Joker. Like
Right.
now, whenever we get someone cast as a Joker, whether it's what's that guy's name from 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto, or you get that guy cast as a Joker, and you're like, what the hell is going to happen? Especially once you get those screen leaks. And you're like,
I would call him Jordan Catalano from My So-Called Life. So that is who Jared Leto will be to me forever.
Yeah, and now I guess you could say that Colin's going to be like the standard now. Like when we get a Penguin, we're used to like, having some type of like standard, like, okay, we have one for Joker, we have one for Penguin.
But do we? I mean, people still like Nicholson's Joker, and some even prefer it to Ledger's. Whereas
go ahead.
No. I mean, and with Penguin, we've had 3 great versions, including Colin Farrell. So maybe it's not. I don't know. So maybe it is. I don't want to discount DeVito's Penguin ever because he was so good. And Burgess Meredith for that series and that tone, perfect. So, yeah, I think it's a little harder, maybe.
But for like a grounded, because mostly like everything that we've seen, like for example, like the Batman, what's that one called? Batman and Robin, where we get like Mr. Freeze. Everyone wanted a Mr. Freeze because he was so hot in the animated series.
Yeah.
And then you got like an in real life version of him, and you're like, oh man, they really can't do this. And I know that that's been brought up, even been theorized that Victor would have been Mr. Freeze later down the line. In some like Reddit posts and things like that. But I was like, I think Reeves is going to go with more grounded villains.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very excited for. But as far as like it being better or just as good as Heath Ledger, that's where we started with this tangent. I think it is. I think it is something that we can consider. Like these guys put on great performances, and I can't wait to see. Unfortunately, we couldn't get more with Heath, but I can't wait to see because Colin said he's up for it. Like he already knows he's into Batman 2, and that he would be interested in reading the script if they ever decide to do a Penguin season 2. So.
Even though I think it is insulting to ugly fat guys that this handsome Irishman is taking their roles. I'm sure there's a ugly fat actor that wouldn't have to spend 5 hours in a makeup chair to look like Penguin. So,
but then he'll talk to like this.
He's stealing work from some ugly fat American that could play this role. We have a theory on Reeves's Joker, who is played by Barry Keoghan.
Yeah, the guy
people
that
know
was
him,
in
Saltburn, and he is also in the Eternals.
Yeah.
He was Druig. But Omega Swiper says, I'm guessing Joker for Reeves will be more like a Fight Club version, Project Mayhem, etc. That could be cool. I don't even want to guess because I like what Reeves has done. He's done a lot of things I wouldn't have guessed at all. So if I try, I think I will just look silly, and he will make me look
Yeah.
silly. You alluded to this question earlier, Carlos. Now that we have enjoyed Penguin, what do you hope to see in Batman Part 2? We were talking about Mr. Freeze, a grounded Freeze. I think that could be really cool and interesting. I want to see more Cristin Milioti now that we've know about her from this series.
Yeah.
I really hope they use her, even though she's locked up in Arkham at the moment.
I was kind of thinking that, and I was trying to think of maybe if there was ever an iteration of Gotham City Sirens
Oh,
with Sophia, but I don't ever recall anything like that. So, but that would be something interesting because it would be like we've never seen it before. But I think it would be a fun introduction to be able to like maybe substitute Poison Ivy, or if they can't get a Harley
Oh.
Quinn with Sophia Falcone, because it's not she's just as not there as one of those type of things.
yeah.
And then I with that, it also depends too on how more they want to focus, because I think, and I like this aspect. It looks like Reeves wants to have like the movies focus on big picture problems, like only Batman can solve type of things.
Right.
Like try to prevent, even though he almost did, but he tried to prevent the damn thing. But
The damn thing.
but failed. And
Yes.
it's something that like if we don't get it in part 2, because we're gonna get, if we do get a Penguin season 2, I'd like to be able to focus, also still continue to focus on the organized crime thing. And then, we get more people that are part of the organized, like street level type of things, like Black Mask is one of them. And, then we have it's escaping me where they have the guy who controls the ventriloquist, the puppet type of thing.
Oh, right.
And, because you could also go with something like that. But there's also more things that you can explore as far as like, and like if you want to continue down the organized crime thing.
Right.
In a Penguin season 2, especially when it has to deal with if he's going to be running for mayor, because you could kind of have that where it's like Godfather 3-esque, where Michael's trying to get out of being in the mafia and he's trying to buy into the Vatican's bank Immobiliare to become legitimate, and he keep like bringing them back in. It could be like Penguin's trying to become the mayor because they're probably recalling Bella Real. And but like there's more people that are rising up, like a Black Mask, or like the other guy mentioned, that are trying to like vie for being the head of organized crime in Gotham. So I think that'd probably be a good way to go too.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. Maybe not for the Batman 2, but for a second series of the Penguin, I would love to see how they handle Two-Face. I'm a massive fan of this character in the comic.
Yeah, and that's something now we're gonna get a different interpretation, because normally it's Maroni or somebody that Maroni
splashes
worked
the
with.
acid.
Yeah. I'm always disappointed that we never got like that Harvey Dent version of Billy D.
Billy D? Yeah. I was hoping that would be awesome.
He talks about it. It looks like he was excited for it. But
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that. But
he could have done a Billy D Lando. You truly belong with us amongst the clouds with my smooth Colt 45.
And then he talks all crazy on the other side.
Yes. You could have Colt 45 on one side doing his Colt 45 commercial, and then Lando on this side.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the ending. Omega Swiper, I appreciate all the comments, but there's going to be some pretty large spoilers, so I don't want to tell you to go away, but if you don't want the ending spoiled, and what an ending it was, I will give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are in total spoiler territory. So many things happen in the last like 15 minutes of the show. Victor ends up saving the Penguin by having all the crime families, getting all the second in commands to turn on the leaders.
Right.
Sophia gets thrown into Arkham, which again, I thought that was the only place for her to end up, because the Penguin is he's so vile that he wouldn't want death for her.
Oh yeah.
He would want her to end up in the one place that would be a punishment worse than death. So she ends up back in Arkham.
Or in hell.
In hell, yes.
In hell, as the Riddler calls it.
See you in hell. He did have that in the Batman. And then there's a tender moment where Penguin and Vic are just reflecting on their victory and saying their family to each other. And to me, there was no way for things to end but with Vic dying. And part of it you mentioned before, with the second in command's turning on all the leaders, but partially because the Penguin wanted to erase the weakness of family, and he had to kill him.
Yeah.
And also he says in the first episode, this guy's going to kill me. So
yeah. Spoiler alert, you spoiler alerted your own self. But there was no way that Victor was going to stay alive. I know there's like Omega Swiper is going is one of those people, and I've seen that theory that he's a Robin. I think Jason Todd type of I think stories of what they're thinking, but it wouldn't make sense for that to happen at all, because he hasn't had any type of connection with Batman. We have no knowledge.
This comment totally cracked me up.
Yeah.
So just well done, sir.
And then where we have no idea if there's a Lazarus pit anywhere nearby. So it's a nice theory, and I love this actor now. And Raymond had to remind me, hey, you've seen this guy before. But
that's right.
Yeah, Vic is dead. He's not coming back, unfortunately. He's gone, and there's nothing we could do about it. So
and then we're with Penguin's mom. Oh, I mean, that's brutal. She's comatose in a hospital bed. He finally got the penthouse, but I think it was in, what was it, episode 6 or maybe 5, where Francis asked Penguin, like, if the disease ever gets the best of me, just kill me so I don't have to live.
Yeah,
like a vegetable.
She never wants to be a vegetable, and then I like that they were able to pan in on her while they're celebrating, or Penguin is celebrating, and then you just see like a tear streaming from her eye because she's there.
She's a vegetable. This is her. This is her faith worse than death.
It was like she wanted to kill him, and now, just like you said, he's very good and manipulative, and very methodical. And how he wants to do things. So
he deluded himself into thinking this is what his mom would want, even though she expressly said, kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes down the stairs where Eve is dressed as his mom in his mom's old dress, with her hair like a young Francis.
Right.
And they're dancing, and she's feeding him lines as if he were his mom.
Yeah.
Were they're
very
both
proud of me.
Yeah, and it's so fucked up. And he knows it's not her, but he needs it to feed his delusion of the whole thing. And it's such a complex and beautiful and fucked up ending that, this guy is so layered and tortured and manipulative. He thinks it's a happy ending in his mind, but it's so not. And I think that's why it works so well. I did not expect it to work on so many levels, but it's one of my favorite endings in a comic book series ever.
Do you think they nailed it? Right? It's like I can't pick anything wrong with this ending, where it's like
there are some people that wanted Vic to live, and I'm like, no, man, he had to
go. I understand. I don't have would I like him to live? I did mention that I would, but I understand that he has to go. It was like he's proven himself to be very adaptable. He finally was able to take a life. So the Penguin can't keep him alive. He's had to worry about his life.
Right.
This show is called The Penguin. It's not called Vic, whatever random
Right.
name, last name
Aguilar.
he had.
Yeah.
It's not Victor Aguilar. It's not Sofia Falcone.
Right.
It's called The Penguin. So, I mean, I have never seen a show where this guy, the Penguin, is our protagonist, whether we like to believe it or not. And all the like double talking and lying and manipulating and things that he's
Right.
doing to get to the top. But this is our
So-
protagonist.
You're saying Vic had to die on a practical level, and I completely agree with that. But I think from a storytelling perspective, he had to die as well, because you cannot have the Penguin have redeemable qualities, and him killing Vic at the end just it just kills that any thoughts of pity or sympathy you had for this guy out the window now with what he did to Vic and what he did to his mom. And to a lesser extent, how he's treating Eve and making her dress up at his mom. Yeah. So any redeemable qualities the Penguin had by the end of the series wiped out. And I love that they did that so well and effectively. Man.
Yeah, but now it's like they did in that Batman, and you gotta live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Right. Die a hero or yeah. So I think that will wrap things up for us. We didn't do your plug at the beginning. So why don't you plug what's going on with Revisiting the Mania right now?
Well, right now we are just kind of like in standby mode. I am putting out shorts.
You have a good reason. You just had a kid, so
yeah. So, but we have watched WrestleMania 33. We just have to record it, and then we'll put it out there. Hopefully, we'll get it out soon. My wife is actually getting the itch, and she's like, "Yeah, we just gotta figure out a time when we can get that recorded and put out." But yep, if you want to follow us, you can go ahead and check us out on any social media, whether it's Threads, Blue Sky. We still use Twitter, but not as active there as we normally would be.
I gotta change all my shit at the top.
Revisiting Mania is where you can reach us.
Great comment here by Victor. If Penguin had not killed Vic, people might have been rooting for him against Batman. Yes, exactly. That's why they had to shred every ounce of sympathy towards the end. So not only is the Penguin this his rise to power, but this is just where he just becomes utterly vile, and you cannot root for him at all. Yes.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
And we forgot to mention, but they actually do this perfectly, because like the Penguin's celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we get when he's over there celebrating and thinking he's on top of the world? We get the bat signal shining.
Yes.
With a nice beacon, where he's like, you think he's gotten away. And I forgot to mention this, but they mentioned that this is only taking place in the span of a week, Raymond.
Well, kind of, because there is a time skip in the middle from, because the series starts like right after the Batman movie ends. But then there's that point where, do you remember when he was down to the 2 mushrooms?
Oh, yeah, you did have to have a time jump in order for that. But I always heard in all the interviews, it said this is only taking place in the span of a week. No,
I think that's right. If you add that time together and you don't count the time skip, I think that's correct.
So total film time, the story they're telling is a week.
Yes.
But it could be even longer, because that's October-ish, November, and I think it ended close to that makes sense. Thank you.
It has to end in December, because that's when they want the cold and the freeze to come in the Batman 2, which I think that got delayed because of the strikes and stuff to 2026. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, October 2026.
That sucks. See, that's how good the Penguin series is that before I'm like, okay, Batman 2, when it comes, but now I'm so invested into Matt Reeves' world now because of this excellent series that I'm now anxious for the Batman 2, which and I like Edward Cullen as Batman. For the record, I like Robert Pattinson ever since I saw him in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Cedric
Diggory, yes. But I think he's a talented actor, but he has that Twilight baggage, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Got him fame and a ton of money. So, but he's also done a lot of interesting things since then. Yes, Blue Sky. I am RPadTV on Blue Sky and Threads. Carlos, are you the same?
Yeah, revisiting Mania. Yeah.
And Blue Sky.
Yep.
So please hang out with us there and shout things at us. I like replying. Let's get out of here on this question. We talked about 2 superhero series with 2 outstanding female performances by Catherine Hahn and Agatha All Along and Cristin Milioti in The Penguin. Do you think these ladies will see any trophies next year? I think they deserve them.
I think Cristin deserves it more than Agatha.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, and I love Catherine Hahn. Like, I think she won me over in that movie, The
Step
Goods.
Brothers.
No.
The Goods with Ari Gold?
Goods. Yeah. That was just hilarious. Like, she caught my interest in Step Brothers, but she really won me over in The Goods, where she's like trying to have relations with the one guy. I forget his name, the one comedian. But it ends up he's like one of those people who age up and they're still like 6 years old. And she's like, I don't care. I'm gonna have sex with that guy.
Wasn't he doing promo for that in WWE? Ari Gold. What's his real name again?
I forget what his real name is, but he might have been, because when he was talking about Summerfest.
Yes. So I think these ladies definitely deserve trophies. I think one or maybe both of them. I think they'll get nominated for Golden Globes. Yeah. The Emmys still seems to hate comic book stuff a bit more because it has old, out of touch people. So I don't feel as confidently for there. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe enough time has passed, but yeah. Ooh, here's a great idea.
They'll be in different categories, right?
I guess it would be a comedy. Yeah. Great comment from Victor here. Again, I think we could do Sophia and Selena on HBO before. That would be awesome. Like,
I don't think they'd make it in
the Gotham City. Yeah. Not enough time to do it before Batman, because that's like Q1 2026. Is that right?
No, it's
is it summer?
No, it's October.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
But like we're already 2024. By the time you get writers and you don't know what commitments they have, by the time they actually get filming, it'll probably be late 2025. Then you got to produce. You might get it, but you'd have to start now.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe they've started and we don't know about it.
Yeah. Maybe they listened to my idea already and are working on Gotham City Sirens with Sophia and Selena.
You need more. Who else would you? Who would be the Kim Cattrall of this sex in Gotham City?
No, maybe you could get Eve for now. And like the Gotham City Sirens, I've always considered. Like we've always had the standard, but I feel like that could be like any of like a wrestling faction. Like you just somebody leaves and then you can tag out, and then we bring in this person because the other character gets too big.
I am down with that. Great idea. So again, that is a wrap on The Penguin. We will be back next week. I think, Carlos, you're hanging out as well next week, where we are doing a pre-Thanksgiving episode of 3 nerdy things we are thankful for in 2024. And this is a purely personal list. We're just going to talk about movies, TV shows, books, music that have helped us get through this crazy year. And I'd love to hear what you think as well. Share more thoughts on The Penguin. Please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. And please take care of yourself and then take care of someone else. This is RPadTV. Catch you next time, guys.